final thoughts.
Now, to be honest, 2023 was a bit of a dumpster fire, but it did teach us a lot of things. For instance, Bud Light taught us that this was not what customers meant when they asked a bartender for a beer with some nuts. So silly. Yeah, the Dylan Mulvaney story turned the king of beers into the Rodney king of beers. But the craziest part is they gave Mulvaney a commemorative can to celebrate 1 year of womanhood. So technically speaking, they were giving beer to a 1-year-old girl. Not sure that's what alcohol ads meant by drink responsibly, but here we are. Don Lemon taught us it's possible to suck so bad that even CNN will fire you. Lemon, if you remember, got into hot water after saying Nikki Haley was past her prime. First off, anyone who tells you women over 50 are past their prime has never seen my search history. But second, Don Lemon, dude, you endorsed Kamala Harris. We'll ask your opinion on women once we get OJ's take on marriage. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce taught us that it's still legal to like white people. Go figure. Who knew? Who knew? We're still a thing. Sure, the mayor of Boston had a Christmas party where no white people were allowed, but as racist moves go, the Boston mayor is at like a 5 on a scale of 1 to Harvard. Yeah, Harvard's President Claudine Gay came under fire after failing to condemn anti-Semitism in a disastrous appearance before Congress. On the plus side, now we know why she plagiarized the rest of her speeches. Although in her defense, she didn't think she could write them herself because as a Hamas supporter, she didn't know women were allowed in libraries. Oh, okay. Can we have security look at the groaners on that one? The pro-Hamas recipients of that joke? Not something I budgeted for. As for Taylor and Travis, though, I do get it. This couple is everywhere. And a lot of football fans are annoyed that they keep showing Taylor at all the games. But you gotta admit, it's nice to see someone pretending to be a chief besides this lady. Jimmy, so silly. Pro-Palestinian protesters taught us that you don't have to be smart to get into an Ivy League college. Check this out. Seriously, if there was any doubt about how dumb these protesters were, it all went out the window when they confronted Alec Baldwin about ending the bombings in Gaza. Earth to protesters. Alec Baldwin couldn't get a ceasefire on his own movie set. I doubt he's going to calm things down in the Middle East. You know what I'm saying? With all due respect to the shooting star. Anyway. Speaking of movies, Barbie was the big winner at the box office this year, raking in $1.4 billion worldwide. How about it? Republicans loved it because Margot Robbie is a smoke show, let's be honest. While liberals loved going to the theater because they finally found a way to be surrounded by underage girls without flying all the way to Epstein Island. Coincidentally, this is interesting, Barbie brought in more money at the box office than any film since Titanic, which continued to shatter records this year. Jimmy. They're just jokes. Everybody's going to be okay. There's no way any of you are rich enough to know people on that sub, so relax. But while we're talking money, we should mention that a 2023 saw a Florida man win the biggest Mega Millions jackpot in history at $1.6 billion. Lottery officials say the man's trying to remain anonymous, and he set up an LLC in Delaware to hide the money. As you'd imagine, he's reaching out to the experts on hiding money in Delaware. So silly. Yeah, it wasn't exactly a banner year in politics. Donald Trump became the first president to be criminally indicted, and Joe Biden became the first president to make a sign language interpreter shrug. Yo, true story. At the State of the Union, his second to last line was, "Now's the time to choose between unity and schmuggana-hamana-hamana-hamana." And it's a State of the Union, so they all clap. But if you watch the sign language interpreter, she goes from signing to like Google, because she's like, I don't know what this means. Like, come to think of it, it might have been the sign language interpreter's cocaine at the White House after all that. As for Trump looking back on the historic day of his indictment, if we're being honest, the most shocking part of his flight to New York was seeing a president make it up the steps of the plane in one try. And finally, 2023 taught us that literally anyone can write a book. I'm gonna get us out of this mess, shut up. And just when you thought the bar couldn't get any lower. Now let's get real for a minute. You should buy Kat's book because she's profoundly talented. She's a best-selling author. She sells out stand-up shows all over the country. Do you want to know why you should buy my book for real? Just so you can see how out of place it is on the Fox News Books website. And go to that site. You're gonna die. The first book is like Shannon Bream, Women of the Bible Speak, Harris Faulkner, Faith Can Move Mountains, Jimmy Failla, a hooker farted on a guy in my cab. I don't know what it's doing there, but I buy it, check it out. Yeah, 2023 was the type of crazy-ass story that you couldn't make up, unless you were George Santos. Gotta hit the Republicans, kids, that's how comedy works. Now, the House of Representatives voted to expel the Holocaust survivor turned astronaut, and and let's be clear though, like, Santos lied way too much. Like, you know it's bad when Lauren Boebert says you're yanking our chain. Boebert famously got caught fondling a man's privates in a Denver movie theater. Republicans were upset that she performed a sex act in public. Democrats were angry that she didn't show the video to kindergarten kids. Coincidentally, Boebert did it during a screening of Beetlejuice, which is not exactly the sexiest show in town. If you don't believe me, you've never seen what Beetlejuice looks like. Jimmy. And finally, a tip of the cap to New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez, who showed us that it really is possible to get the gold bars out of Nigeria. Now, millions of Americans have received spam emails over the years and come up empty, but not Menendez. And sure, he was criminally indicted afterwards, but he hasn't been forced to resign. Because if 2023 taught us anything, it's that liberals have no problem with men going for the gold as long as they take it from a woman.